Hi Sarpreet, I'm very happy that you've written your essays. Good work. Let's take a look at what you did for these first two topics. Okay, the first one is doing an enjoyable activity with a child. Let's see what you said. Okay, in recent decades, many researchers have studied the impact of playful activities on a child's, or you could have said on children's, skill set development over textbook studies. I don't think you mean over here. I think you mean as opposed to or compared to. Yes, I think that would be better. Compared to textbook studies would be more appropriate. To my mind, even though such captivating activities boost the cognitive abilities in juniors, you don't need the here. You don't need also yet, because even though does exactly the same thing as yet. So, you either use one or the other. You should definitely not use both. So, even though such captivating activities boost cognitive abilities in juniors, the significance of book reading in raising concentration level cannot be overlooked. Okay, so it sounds like you're more in favor of book reading. All right, let's see what you said. To kick off with the rim of buckets, which states that the notion of investing time on sporting and other leisure activities is indeed beneficial. This is because, okay, let me just read it silently for a second. All right, no, let me try it again. Hold on one second. Now, let me see if I've got this right. It looks like, Sarpreet, you've got the sentence ends here. All right, so that means you've got a paragraph with just two sentences. So I can tell you straight away that you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you've got at least like 4 or 5 sentences in your paragraph, but certainly not 2. And I definitely had trouble with this first one. I don't know what you mean with this expression here. And like I said, the sentence was just far too long. So let's take a look at it again. To kick off with a rim of buckets, which states that the notion of investing, so you don't mean the notion is beneficial, you mean investing time is beneficial. So investing time on sporting and other leisure activities is indeed beneficial because games and music in particular boost the cognitive abilities of minors to a great extent. Full stop. For instance, after being interviewed by London psychologists without the thaw, over 75% of primary school students admitted that they had scored high in psychometric tests after being introduced to entertaining sports. Now, the children didn't admit that they scored high, they just scored high. Because when you say that they admitted to scoring high, it's as if somebody asked them, you know, Johnny, did you score high in a psychometric test? And then Johnny says, well, yes, sir, I did. That's not what's happening. I think what you really mean here is that these children were given psychometric tests and they scored well. Okay, therefore it is certainly the case that these pursuits enhance the psychological ability of Kindles? I don't know what you mean here. Do you mean, I think you mean children. You could have said youngsters. You could have said young people. You, what else could you have said? I don't know what else you could have said, but those are just a couple of words you could have said. Honestly, you haven't used children in this paragraph at all, so it's okay to use children. Don't feel afraid. I mean, sometimes the most common word is actually the best and the most appropriate, so don't be afraid to use it. Okay. Pondering upon the other side arguments which define that offspring would not deviate. All right, now you asked me something in your email about using unnatural language. This for me is really unnatural, okay? It's just too complicated, and sometimes I don't like the word simple, but sometimes you want to just make things a little clearer. So why don't we say this? The other argument states that young people, not offspring, should not deviate from academics due to the fact that children may start losing interest in book learning, no S, as it is less interactive compared to appealing games. To exemplify this, not it, and no A here, we never put an A in front of the word research, or we don't ever make it plural as well. So to exemplify this, recent research by British Education Council showed that the incidence of underperforming in annual examinations by the schoolgoers are more prominent in middle schools, no comma, which encourage thrilling after-school programs. Seen in this light, it is clear that academic studies should not be ignored, not could, should not be ignored for rounded development. Okay. To recapitulate, it is clear that there are both favorable and unfavorable aspects of leveraging more on recreational activities than traditional reading. Thus, in the future, caretakers will have to maintain the fine balance between entertainment and education. Okay, so Sarpreet, I like this for your first essay. I think you did a lot of good things. I think that you have to be careful with a lot of this overly complicated language, okay? And I think the good news is that I think you already got a sense of that based on what I saw in your email, that you're worried about it. So that's a good thing. It means you're aware of it. There were a couple of areas where, yes, you did overcomplicate, okay? So remember, you're going for clarity, because the last thing you want the examiner to do is to have to read and reread and reread your sentences in order to understand what you're trying to say, okay? What you want to do is make the examiner's life easy by, letting the person reading it, let the eyes just go over it very easily, okay? So that means that clear writing really is the goal. Okay, so let's take a look now at this second one. This is the one about schools. Should they be more entertaining or should they just educate? So, the shifting focus of educational institutions from curriculum studies to extra classroom activities has become a hot potato these days. To my mind, although such trends, I think you mean trends, although such trends may improve cognitive development in scholars, it may also induce boredom in learners towards academics. Okay, again, because you have although here, you can't also have the yet. It's either one or the other. Fine. To kick off with the rim of buckets, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with this expression at all. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, because I certainly don't know every single expression that exists in the English language, but I would advise you against stuff like this. Again, it's an issue of clarity. It's also an issue of I don't know, more academic writing. I mean, this certainly doesn't feel academic to me, and neither does a hot potato. That's fine in speaking, but in an academic essay, it's a little too idiomatic for me. Okay? So, again, let's change that. I'm sure you can come up with something that you like. The notion of enriching study institutes with captivating activities is indeed beneficial. Okay, captivating is a word you used in the other essay as well. It does feel a little too strong. Like, it feels like you're trying very hard to find a synonym for entertaining. Captivating is not a synonym for entertaining. It's a little stronger, and I don't know that I necessarily like it here. All right, so you really, honestly, it's okay to just use the word entertaining. It's fine. Just, try to vary it up a little bit. All right, but let's move on. This is because, so what did you do here? Again, you have this super long sentence from the looks of it. Yeah, you do. And it ends again here. Okay, so full stop then, and then this is because sports and music, in particular, boost a cognitive. Isn't this what you just wrote in the other essay? I would have liked to have seen you write something different. I mean, I can see how these are along the same theme and might have some similarities, but I really would have liked you, if for no other reason than just practice, to write a different body paragraph. Let's see. Schools have to be more entertaining. You know what? And now you make me want to look at the other essay again. You know, now that I'm looking at it again, I don't know if you're really completely on topic here, Sarpreet, because it doesn't talk about doing an enjoyable activity with children just in school, okay? It could be like what kinds of activities the children do after school as well. And let me see. You talk about psychometric tests, but what about creativity? You know, this just came to my attention because I saw your second essay that's exactly the same paragraph. More creativity. So when you talk about psychometric tests, where are you telling me? You're talking about psychological ability. Where is this thing about better skills and creativity? Do you understand? So I would have liked to hear how playing music in a child's free time after school helps children solve problems faster, or, you know, the children who played a musical instrument scored better on tests checking their problem-solving skills or something like that. But that would be skills. But then creativity, I don't know, something about students who scored high in music also, I don't know, wrote better stories, and something that shows creativity. I mean, there are lots of things you could say here, but not 100% on topic. And like I said, even if for no other reason than just for practice, I really would have liked to see a different paragraph here. Therefore, it looks like, let me see, did you change anything? Boost the cognitive abilities to a great extent after 75. Admitted they had scored. Okay, it's the same thing. Entertaining. Where is the idea? Now, who said that physical education classes are entertaining? For a lot of people, they're actually really boring. So what are entertaining activities in school? What could they be? They could be lots of things. They could be things that involve experiential learning. They could be showing movies in class, or having the children themselves create movies. So not necessarily physical education. So it did not do you a service that you basically use the same paragraph for both essays. Okay. Pondering upon the other side arguments, which define that schools should not deviate from their prime objective of imparting education. Okay, again, it's this sentence. I really want you to rewrite it in a different way. Okay? So this is due to the fact, that children may start losing interest in book learning, as it is less interactive compared to appealing game, I don't know what you mean by periods, appealing games, full stop. To exemplify this, recent research, again showed that the incidence of missing school homework, missing school, what do you mean missing? They didn't submit it? Okay, by not scholars but students, was more prominent in middle schools, which offer thrilling after-school programs. Again, thrilling and captivating are a little too over the top. Seen in this light, it is clear that textbook studies could not be overlooked. Okay. Okay. To recapitulate, it is clear that there are both favorable and unfavorable aspects of leveraging more on entertaining sessions over academic syllabus by the school. Thus, in future, these academies will have to maintain the fine balance between entertainment and education. Okay. So, Sarpreet, you do know some nice vocabulary, but I am going to ask you to kind of simplify things a little bit. And I'd like you to kind of stay away from some of these stock phrases that you've learned. I know that through the course you've also gained a lot of new language and a lot of new ways to begin your paragraphs, and I'd like you to try experimenting with some of them. I think this will definitely help you. I also would like to encourage you to think a little more specifically about each topic. I didn't really like that these were almost identical essays. They shouldn't be. They're actually very different. Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, you will get sample answers for these essays, so do look at them, okay? Now what you need to do, Sarpreet, is you need to correct these essays based on what you've heard in this video correction. Your coherence and cohesion was fine, but the task response was problematic, and there were some grammatical things happening as well with these like extra long sentences. So those are the things that I really want you to be aware of when you correct your essays. And then again, some of the language was not the most natural sounding in terms of your vocabulary. So correct these essays and then send them back to us corrected. The other thing you need to do is you need to create an error correction list, where you will take the errors that were pointed out to you. Next to each error, you will write what the corrected version is. Okay? And then with each subsequent essay you get back, you will do the same thing. You will continue to add to this list. So I will let you get to that, because in addition to those two tasks, you also have to send us your new essays. So it's a couple of things that you have to do. I'll let you get to it. So I wish you lots of good luck, and I'm looking forward to see what you write next.